Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the June 23rd meeting of the Trustees of Trust Funds. I will call the meeting to order, and as first item of business, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 21st meeting.
So moved.
I will second.
Okay, any corrections, additions, other changes? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It's unanimous. All right. The next item.
Just curious, Judy, why does it say draft?
Because you haven't voted on it yet, Tom had pointed out that it should say draft first, so what I'll do now that it's been approved, I'll sign it, I'll take the draft off and I'll send it to the city clerk's office.
We corrected 3 sets of minutes last year,
And it got confusing.
and so I just thought that you have multiple drafts circulating, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure the one that ends up being posted is the final version.
Okay.
That gets posted on our website too?
It
Or
used
under
to.
us or just under the city minutes?
It's filed with the city clerk's office. I would think that they go in and update. I'm not sure about that piece. I don't know what's going on.
They don't update ours, and one of the things we need to get to later this year is a review of our website. I know Susan had some ideas about it as well. So as soon as we can clear up some of these other issues, we can bring in the tech people and talk about what kind of improvements we want to make.
But right now, where do our minutes?
They get posted, the city has a calendar of current meetings, and then has an archive calendar, and all the minutes go into the archive calendar.
By committee.
Correct.
By committee, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the review of the expendable trust and banking options. You want to walk us through this?
Yes. So of course, I don't know how these rates can hold with over the past weekend with all
This is
that.
so much better. Thank you, Judy.
My computer did not like it.
Yeah, I'm sure it did not.
My eyes didn't like it.
Yeah, I'm sure it did not.
Thank you.
These rates are of last week. I don't know if they'll change as of today, but I did, Tom had asked me to touch base with the city manager, which I did, to find out what her thoughts were as far as the timing of when the city might want to take some of that money out for the low housing market trust. She recommended that probably not go longer than a 6-month CD.
For the entire amount, okay.
For right now, and like she says, she goes, obviously they can roll it over if it comes to the point. It's just because like 6 months comes at the time of the elections are gonna be in November. She's like, I don't know how fast things are gonna go, she said, and I don't know how much that they're gonna be looking for. So she felt it might be best either a money market or a 6-month CD.
Okay. And so right now we'll focus just on the below market rate housing funds.
That is correct. That is correct. So we're talking about the 500,000. Okay. So only one Newburyport Bank would insure the full 500,000 altogether by using FDIC and what they call DIF insurance. And they are also the ones, if you remember, that we put the Daniel Street Trust in, which was $1 million. So we have used them before for their CDs and are able to put all of the money together instead of having to break it up. Just pointing that out.
Right.
For the 6-month CDs, Bank of New Hampshire had a special 5-month CD for 4%. But they only insure up to 250,000. 3.5% was Newburyport Bank, which did up to the 500,000. TD Bank had 3.91 for a 6-month CD. TD also had a 3-month CD at 4%. And then the money market rates, those are lower. You can see like the highest appears to be 3% from many of them. And the ones in the tops are the ones that I actually got people to talk to me. It's really hard to get the banks to call back. I leave a message, they don't know, they just don't get back. I'd never heard back from Bangor Savings or Eastern Bank. And then the ones up on top are the ones that are offering municipal rates. So if there's somewhere else that you want me to try, I can. But I would kind of lean towards Newbury Bank, even though it's not as high as the Bank of New Hampshire, because it could take all 500,000. But ultimately, the choice is yours. If we break it up, it'll have to be at two separate banks because you can't do two separate CDs. You know, in one bank, they still only insure up to 250,000.
Well, did the city manager indicate whether if there was a need for funds, it would be for the entire amount?
She did not. She just recommended going 6 months. She was not sure of any amounts.
Okay.
Just from her conversations of what she's hearing, you know, that she was feeling like, I think she wouldn't go longer than 6 months.
It's impossible to predict at this point.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, what's your thinking, gentlemen?
Well, I don't think 250,000, even though their rate is lower, that we're talking 500,000,
Correct.
that Newburyport would be the bank to go with. I'm a little disappointed, and I happen to run into it, I will run into it at Rotary, that Piscataqua doesn't have.
They didn't come in. You know, I reached out to both Ben and he put me in contact with the new person that handles the rates. They came in lower. They just came in lower. So, and I mean, if you think about it these days, 250,000 isn't really.
Well, it's just-
We have to have a fiduciary relationship that we can't take the chance of putting it somewhere knowing that
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, my view would be, no matter what we do, it's gotta be fully insured.
Yeah.
So we either split it, get close to half a point more, or just go with Newbury.
For 6 months, and then we, you know,
Yeah, it's just for 6 months, so I'm on the fence about it. I'm not sure why we wouldn't just split it between Newburyport and, or Bank of New Hampshire and TD Bank or something, and get rates that are closer to 4% instead of 350.
it's up to you.
It's just the extra work for her. But half a point on $500,000
Yeah.
for 6 months.
$2,500.
Would one of you like to make a motion?
I'll move we split it between the two highest rate banks.
We're here a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay. So that would be between TD Bank and Bank of New Hampshire. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Roll call.
So what I will have to do then is that I'm gonna have to reach out, I'll have to get the paperwork from the banks, and then I'm gonna have to cut the checks, and if someone can pop in and sign those checks, I'll send an email out and whoever's available,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Do you need two of us, or?
Don't know on the paperwork from the bank, I haven't seen it yet on setting up an account, so
I'm around.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Good work on this.
you wanna discuss the expendable trust issues that you're reporting out on, Judy?
Tom had put forth the proposed actions of liquidating and transferring the balance of two of the small trusts that we had put into TD investments, which are actually city funds, so we need to move those. And those are the Pierce Island, make sure I get it right, Pierce Island Trust Fund and the Great Bog Stewardship. So we'd just be asking TD Wealth Management to transfer those funds into the checking account and then taking the checking account and putting it into the account that we decided we were going to use for Bangor for the expendable funds to get those separated out for the Attorney General's office.
So move.
There's roughly 12,000 in one and 34,000 in the other.
Yep.
So. Do I hear a second to that?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? These are really just a follow-up to
The other discussion,
those we took last time, moving so that all the expendable funds are separated from the private donations.
Yeah.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Just to circle back on that issue, on the housing trust, we're gonna have to keep that separate going forward as well?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the second half of this process is working with Susan on what our investment options are for these expendable funds.
Okay.
And part of that's gonna be, we still have to sort out certain funds that may have, such as the African Burying Ground. I don't know if that's gonna come up on your report, Judy.
I'm still working on it. It does appear, and I'm very close to finalizing it, that all of the city's monies have been expended. So the only monies that are in that account are donated monies.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think we're fine with that one.
Yeah.
I will 100% nail that down, but
That's
I'm,
good news.
that's very good news. It's pretty easy to see, the monies that came in, like 100,000 from the city at one time, and then the payment went out to someone, 100,000, so you can follow it, so.
Yeah, so the process, again, with these two accounts we've just voted to move, we should have separated all the
Yep.
two different funds. And
Private from public.
Correct.
so then on the public ones, I think we, like the African Burial Ground, will be completely private, which would potentially allow us to put that into the TD
Correct.
investment.
And that would probably be a discussion for obviously another day, but where we have the money now at Bank Prov, their fees are getting kind of high, so they're not making as much as, you know what I mean, they could be if we were able to invest that money. We could put that on the next month's agenda.
And then the other question I think we have to ask the city manager again is, when is she gonna need use of that money?
Which money?
That,
African Burial
the
Ground?
African,
Yeah, yes.
before we just put it into ETFs. Okay, all right, I had a question here, but I think we've resolved that, okay.
But back to the housing. The
Yes.
500,000 is, that's considered municipal funds?
It is.
Okay.
250,000 is city funds.
And
Not all
I
500.
thought that we had ruled that all of it would be kind of considered because of it was through litigation that we got it, so to
That's what
play
I
it
thought.
safe, we would put it
We can
in
play
that bucket.
it safe, that's fine.
Okay. I need a ruling from legal, I guess.
It's not really playing it safe,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah,
It's not essentially a settlement.
okay.
Um,
So is one private,
Like if we didn't pay that in, it's not a judgment from the court. So I kind of see it differently, but.
okay, that's
um,
fine. I mean, as it is, well, even more important than that we're splitting the funds, because 250 came from private, 250 came from expendable,
Yeah,
they'll
but
be
we-
in two separate CDs.
We gotta get this
yeah,
buttoned up.
I
I think
thought,
that's been my position all along. It's not a judgment
Okay.
from litigation. It's an agreement that he would contribute the money to the housing trust.
Okay.
So,
But the contribution, wasn't it gonna be 500,000?
It's $250 each.
Correct.
250
Oh,
each.
250 each, okay.
Yeah, separately, yeah.
Susan, if
It's
I
that
need to
contribution.
write a letter to you or an email, can I get a copy of the settlement agreement?
Yeah, it's right online, actually. It's, it should be on the McIntyre page. It's right on the city website.
Okay.
all right, well, so I guess I would say I think it does end up making a difference what we do with these funds as we go forward. So can we get a definitive?
Sure.
You know, I guess I was of the impression that the settlement included a change in the zoning law that added a payment incentive to increase density. So this was, the King Company's share was a contribution to increase their
No.
development density. It's not.
No. So their incentive through the new zoning, in order to increase their density, they have to provide a parcel of land
All right, so the money,
or workforce housing or some other incentive. So the contribution to the housing trust is a separate matter, completely separate from the zoning.
okay,
Sounds like we're gonna have to keep it separate
yeah,
at this point. at
That's why I see it as, it's an agreement for them to put money into this housing trust. I mean, the litigation was settled with,
Yeah, no, okay.
no docket markings, no judgment for either side. It was not an agreement with the court that the money would go in, so
And,
that's
and
why I
where
see
did the
it
city's money come from?
from the city
Yeah.
finances, so.
from unspent funds somewhere, called the rainy day fund. So if you could give us a letter or something.
Sure, I can put it in.
Part of the reason it makes a difference is that when we get a request to expend that money, we're gonna need to know out of which account it comes, if it's not.
Which 250
Yeah, they'll
comes
need
out
to
of.
be clear when they come in and say, we want to spend this, city's portion first.
You know, the other thing, of course, is that money sits around for any length of time, we're gonna quickly exceed the 250
Yeah.
gap. I mean, it's a small enough number,
CD, yeah.
but, okay.
It's gonna sit for a little while. It's gonna take a while to sort out.
Well, sure, I mean, even if you decide on what project you wanna support, it will take 3 months to put it all together, so. All right, any further questions on that? All right, so, on your list of bank accounts, Judy, you have an account with Newburyport Bank with $24.23. This is the Daniel Street Trust.
Okay,
I'm just wondering what that is.
I think it was interest left over that when we pulled it out, that they didn't give us the month for the, that interest.
All right, are you gonna arrange to transfer that over to the Bangor?
I can, yes.
I mean, well, I don't see any reason to.
Yeah.
Do you need a vote for that, or?
it would be nice just to
Okay.
cover it.
So I'd entertain a motion to transfer the $24.23 currently in Newburyport Savings Bank associated with the Daniel Street Trust
So moved.
to the Bangor Savings Account. Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Anything else related to that before we move on to the Haven Metal? Okay. All right. Next item is the Haven Metal Trust, and I'll turn it over to our esteemed city attorney. Tell us what's going on with our new draft.
Well, we have the draft, and if you all approve the draft, I'll submit it to the Attorney General's office.
Quite the history.
Yeah, so it's essentially repeating in short form what's in our, what we had drafted a long time ago for the non-judicial settlement agreement. And the petition is just a short formality, just, put as a cover to submit to the court. And my understanding from learning about this process is that once we have the sign off from the Attorney General's office, we can submit it, and it shouldn't take too long before the court acts on it since it's being submitted as all assented to. Generally, there shouldn't be a hearing, there shouldn't need to be any process unless the court has questions.
Will you submit like a proposed order or something?
Sure, yeah, it would go with this, yeah.
Okay. I had a couple little,
Sure, if there are some typos or anything,
so, in the introductory paragraph, third line, I would simply have the word approve start with a lowercase instead of uppercase.
Which document you
I'm looking at the petition to approve.
petition?
So it's
Sorry.
simply have this honorable court, and the word
Oh.
approve, I think, should begin with a lowercase a.
oh, yeah, I generally have grant or deny capitalized, but it's
Okay,
not, it's a matter of
if it's a
form.
stylistic thing, then,
Yeah.
go with whatever you want. I would suggest you add college after Harvard at the end of paragraph 2. And number 3, second line, I would delete in the form of metals, because the original Horace Haven will did not provide for metals. It provided for use of the interest on the $800 that he gave for financial awards. It wasn't until his heirs in 1862 created metals.
So the change, I'm sorry again. what
Right,
do
so,
you-
so second line, it says Portsmouth to fund the creation of prizes. I would delete in the form of medals. And so it'll say to fund the creation of prizes for academic achievement.
Okay,
Did you understand the
yep, I
distinction?
gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha. Just had to take a minute to find where you were.
Okay.
Yep,
I'll just give you this if you want, I mean, just to save
can
you.
do it.
But, and then on the paragraph 4, I would change the word bequeaths to bequest.
yeah.
And then my final one is on page 2 under the prayers for relief. I think you probably meant the grant, on A, grant the petition, not court the petition.
Oh, sure, yep,
So those are just,
thank you.
really technical things.
Look at it for a minute.
You can have
Yeah.
that. It's easy.
And I think I had, we just need to have, whenever it's signed, we'll have the
Okay,
signature date.
so I printed out clean versions of that document. I can have us sign
Are you ready to
today.
sign it today? Yep, that'd be great, 'cause then I can, but we need to,
Yeah,
Did you take the draft
I
out?
took the draft thing off. So I did it in the alternative.
well, if if you all sign it, then I'll sign it, I'll have Zach sign it, and then send it up to the AG's office to sign.
Okay, so here's what I kept it
As a
exactly the
separate
same. And then I also did one with separate signature pages for Zach and for Mary Ann.
Okay,
Which one would you prefer
I
to
think
use?
maybe the separate signature pages work better. Yep.
Okay,
Could I take that with me, make a copy, and then bring it up to your office so that I have at least our piece?
Yes.
Thank you. You need to do a vote.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I move the petition as presented be executed and forwarded to the AG's office.
okay, well, we've already approved the petition, so, but you mean,
The draft.
we approved the petition and authorized to be filed with the court?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a second to that?
Second. Can I have a question?
Absolutely.
On the settlement document, if I read this right, and when concerning the CTE awards, where it provides for 2 awards, and I think that's at the request of the school at the current time. Is that right, Tom?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if I read this right, at any point in time in the future, the school can decide to increase or decrease the amount of CTE awards. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's one of the last times we looked at the content here, we approved language that allowed them to add or delete to the regular students and have or 1 to whatever indefinite number for CTE students,
And that's, okay, I'm happy.
without having to come back to court. every
Exactly. Okay, that was my concern.
So once the court approves language like that, we have a little more leeway,
Exactly.
if there's some need to adapt.
Thank you.
Do you want to sign the last
Are you
page?
sure? I'll sign it now. Then you'll have
Was
that.
that a unanimous vote? I'm sorry.
It was. Actually, I haven't called the vote yet,
Okay, go
but
ahead.
Dana had a question. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. It's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Yep, it's done.
She went with only 2 for CTE primarily because of cost concerns?
No,
For this year? Or for,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that was the recommendation. She came in with the criteria that she suggested to us.
that's right. Part of it is because the CTE students,
Number of courses they
Yes,
put into this,
yes.
yeah.
but under the possibility that the CTE program will change in nature, that's why it isn't. Okay, so the other, just to report out on the 2025 CTE awards. So as you know, earlier this year, back in January, we advised the school on the amount of money that would be available. They have commissioned Allie's Jewelers to make the medals. Those are all done and have been awarded by now.
yes, they have.
And 2 of those were for the CTE program, but through Judy, we advised Brittany that the monies that we're holding cannot be used for those CTE medals until this process has been completed. And so she has asked Steve Alley to produce two separate bills, one for the regular academic awards, which will be paid out of the funds that we've authorized. The second will be for the CTE awards, and those will be covered separately by Peter and I as personal contributions. So there is no, we're not crossing any lines on those awards. Hopefully, this will be approved before next spring,
Yes.
and then we'll be able to use whatever we authorize. They can use whatever we authorize for all of the awards. All right. The TD reports.
Yep. Do you need me for anything else?
Well, let's just, while you're here, and I don't want to make you sit around, but I was going to ask you, any other updates you can provide us on any other things? Okay.
No, unfortunately.
All right, that's
I
okay.
know that Mr. Kohlhaas, Kohlhaas has reached out to Brittany. I haven't gotten the information yet, but he came back around, so I will shoot out an email to everybody to let everyone know what his thoughts are and where he is with his process as well. I think he's pretty much ready to go at this point, so.
So they've got a draft of something ready?
I don't know if they do or not, I don't know. I know that Brittany has reached out, I haven't had a chance to talk to her about what has been decided, but I know that he has reached out and he's trying to move forward, so, I will.
Is this for a named scholarship?
Correct, and that is for the,
It's it's for CTE programs.
Well, it's, yeah, or vocational.
correct,
Yeah,
vocational,
vocational,
that's what I was
yeah.
looking for, Peter, thank you.
Yeah.
So I will circle back around, I have not had a chance to talk to Brittany about exactly where they're at.
This brings up a question that keeps weighing on my mind, and I'm glad you're here, Susan. What is the process you want to follow when someone comes to us to create a fund, a named fund? Do you want them to come with a legal document for you to approve, or is it the city's desire to draft that document first?
Excellent question. Since I haven't experienced that, so I'm not sure what you've done in the past. If that was something Kathleen
Kathleen,
would do,
yeah.
the
would do
draft,
the initial draft.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so traditionally,
It's probably people don't have the
Right, unless it was in their will and it was
The ability to
specifically
do it.
stated in their estate, Kathleen.
Yeah. So we should work on a format that everybody's comfortable with. And I know that that's evolved. Our formatting has evolved recently, so I'm happy to do that and maybe have a sample format we could put on the website for people to use, or to work with people and figure out what their desires are and try to put it into a draft for them.
Yeah, I think that's more the concern
Yeah.
of the issue, because all of them might have a little twist or
Yeah.
turn or special intent.
yeah, I would,
But I'd like to get maybe a format that you're all comfortable with, generally speaking, so that we don't have to revise it.
Well, exactly. And I had talked with Suzanne Woodland about this last fall, about creating updated templates for these types of scholarships in particular. I'm not so much thinking about the other trusts that we have, but because as Judy points out, they sort of come to us in two ways. And most of them in the past have come to us through Kathleen. And
Right.
and then
On the scholarship.
yeah, on the scholarships, and then we actually adopted a policy on scholarships in 2019. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it set up the minimum amount for a named scholarship fund. It provided whether, you'd have 3 years to raise the money, and then it would, if you couldn't raise it, it would convert to a sunsetting one, we called it, and then, there are different things that have been in certain of these that are not standardized, such as whether if it was created by a family and memorial of a lost relative, sometimes the family wanted to continue to actually make the decision on which students would receive the award, ask for essays and stuff like that. I think of the McHale one for that. And so I had this conversation with Suzanne some time ago that we ought to think about having sort of standardized ones that would prevent a lot of massaging, and just create something that would be almost like someone can now check the box they want, and then the parts of that they had checked could be used to create the document before it even comes to us, so.
Well, I'm sure, like everything else, it's.
No.
Add it to the list.
Well, but I will take a hold of that. As you know, Suzanne's transitioning.
Well, yeah, so
Yes.
that's,
Yeah.
so I think she was talking about at that time, working with Trevor on this, but I don't know. It's your department, so you can
Yes.
do it
Yes.
however you want, but I just thought it was worthwhile, you at least touching base with her because of that
What
discussion.
is she transitioning to?
So she's giving up the deputy city manager position, and so she'll maintain her regulatory council position. So she'll still be part of the legal department, but she'll be only really working with Public Works, doing regulatory legal work for their permits, EPA, DES, that's sort of work. And so she'll also be transitioning into an office over at the Department of Public Works.
Really?
Yep. So she'll be working part-time only and working for Public Works primarily, doing legal work for them. So, and we have a new deputy city manager starting July 1st.
July 1st.
Not somebody that's now here.
No, a gentleman named Carl Weber. So he was for many, like 18 plus years, and he's also been town administrator himself in different places, short term, so interesting.
It'll be exciting.
There's a lot of transition happening at the end of the fiscal year, at the beginning of the new fiscal year, so particularly in legal, so anyway, so
Change that finally occurred, huh?
so
So,
I'd be happy to do this, and I think it fits in nicely with our new case management program in the legal department, which will have a spot for all the trusts to put it into
Oh, that's good.
We have a case management program that we're standing up. It's a long process, probably take another year to really get everything done, but it's called HiQ, and it's a Thomson Reuters product. They do Westlaw. It's associated with Westlaw. So we're working on it in stages, but we could certainly have a module in there for the trustees and for trusts, and we could have our sample documents that are approved, and we could put the policy in there, all the policies, and once we get to the investment policy, get that into there, and have a better record, make it easier to find our things.
will that be like a library for us? Or will
Well,
we have-
you know, we have the ability to share. So we're working with other departments, so that like assessing can share with all of the cases that are being challenged, going to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals and to the Superior Court on the assessing. And we're working with the clerk's office on boards and commissions. And so we're putting up a public portal for our right to know requests that can be used internally. So we can work with Judy when we get to the point where we can stand that up. Cynthia is learning how to do all the.
I know where the files are now, so she's already, I've been in them a lot, so that would be great if it was all electronic though, it'd be awesome.
Yes, but if it's also, and then if you have access to be able to come in and view those documents and what's in,
Yep.
and to follow along if we ever had to have any litigation or any other process like this one for the petition, it might be the perfect time for me to have something go into HiQ with this petition to get something set up in there. So there is that ability. So it's a good time. We're adapting to the 21st century upstairs, slowly but surely. We should be able to do this. It's a long-term project, but
Yeah, okay, well, we're gonna leave that in your lap and manage it how you want.
that and the website, because the website would be a good project when I went to see, how would somebody donate to the housing trust? It was interesting to work through your website, and it's not
It can
really
be
clear.
streamlined.
Yeah, it could definitely be
Yeah.
improved, but I think that's a project that Monty is working on with all of the departments, is updating everybody's website.
It took a long time for us to get to the point where you could even make a donation.
Right. Right.
And,
All right.
and I think we kind of knew that it was gonna require improvement over the years, so we're at that point. But I would like to ultimately have something on our website that would be like a how-to manual for someone wanting to create a scholarship. That would not only explain our policies on, the types of scholarship funds that could be created, but also a questionnaire or something that people could take to their lawyers in advance, or they could complete it and would give your office answers to the questions that you need in order to draft the document. Okay.
All the wish list, we'll just keep it going here.
Well, it does remind me, there was one that I sent you a few weeks ago before I had left on vacation about finding the source of funds for the, do you remember when it wasn't the housing endowment, I don't think. It was, it will come to me.
Oh, it might have been.
I think it might have been.
I think it might have been,
Okay.
because we're looking at those grants, those CDGB grants. Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah, actually, it was a housing endowment because there was a history that showed the monies had come into the city, was being held by the head of the finance department, and then were
That's right.
transferred to the trustees. At that time, this would have been 1993, I think it was. And,
That's the standalone housing endowment.
yeah. And
That's
then we're
one the
almost,
lease has, right?
then we're
Yeah,
almost
TD has
immediately
that, yeah.
transferred or placed in regular investments with equities.
So the question is if that needs to be separate.
Yeah, or whether, not so much needs, it's a separate fund with
Yeah.
TD, but whether,
It should be in that
But
type of
public versus
investment.
private,
well, it's all
It's separated.
It's all public money, but the question is whether the form of the investment is appropriate. Was there some question about whether others had contributed into that? I
No,
didn't think that
it was a one-shot
Yeah.
lump sum that came in.
But that
Yeah.
question, Tom, extends beyond just that fund, because now that we have segmented public and private, we need to know what investments are
Yeah, but
appropriate for
and
public.
that's an issue that
You know what, you just gave me an idea to bring in our director of finance, so, and ask Nathan Lunny some of those questions. So I'll ask him about that, but I'll also ask him to help me with this investment policy.
Okay.
Policy I can do, but the details of the investment issues are.
Yeah, one's a historic thing, but ultimately, the larger issue, and remember you had communicated with Mary Ann Dempsey
I
on
thought it was
this.
with the AG's office that they were the ones that kind of, it was more of a legal thing more than a financial thing.
It's an
as
accounting,
far as-
yeah, so when I talk to her about this petition, I'll ask again to talk with the accountant.
If she could be more clear, like, do they want CDs or money markets, or, I mean, what's their criteria?
Yeah, their auditor, what was her name, Ann something?
No,
But
escapes me,
we're-
but yeah.
Okay,
You know where we're going, so.
I do. You have all kinds of stuff for me to
We do.
read on.
Too much stuff. All right.
All right, thank
Well, I
you.
hope you all have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming this morning.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to the TD management.
Does
report.
anyone need copies of anything?
I do.
I do too, Joe.
Okay. Did you see on my email, I had an issue being able to open the TD dashboard, so they sent it, I cannot open it. There's this one. This one.
Call me by name.
Yeah.
I think we had it once before. Peter. Tom, do you need it?
No, I have this one, but I don't have.
Do you want the bigger ones?
Yes.
Yeah. History. And the history too.
Thank you.
This reflects the month of May.
Did you say you had?
I do not have the TD
Okay, so you weren't
dashboard.
able to print it
I
out.
would,
Okay.
yeah, I still do not have access to their website. This is the, May results of the investment portfolio.
So you're at the pie chart one?
I am at the pie chart one.
Okay.
So we were up a little over 4% for the month, performance-wise. And I believe when John DeQuattro had talked to us, he had said that May looked really good. It was a good month. And then overall, if you look at the month-to-month, the long sheet, month-to-month performance, it's last year in 2024, we were at 3.82%. This May, we're at 4.18%. So, the past year has been really kind of very up and down for the portfolio. But overall, we still have more money than we did a year ago. So
We still got a long way to go to catch November of 24.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah,
So one question I have
Yeah.
is when you compare
Yeah.
this pie chart to this list of accounts
yep.
prepared,
I don't know what list that is, Tom. You've showed it to me twice, and I don't.
well, it was in the materials that you had sent us.
back in April?
Well,
Okay.
but you
Yeah.
included this month's materials, but
I
it's
did?
dated
Oh, okay,
April 23rd.
okay.
Well, the only reason I'm saying this is because, so this is 1 week left in
It's
April.
these, it's those four.
That's right, but the total of all those accounts is just 22.9, whereas this beginning balance on just the TD ones, which would have been a week after this.
Fair market value, book value.
Okay. But you you would put FMW,
Okay.
so,
That's the difference though, it's book value versus fair market value. So if we were to cash out,
That's the book value.
correct, yeah, the
yeah,
lesser
well,
one.
it said, but
Yeah.
it says fair market value. on
Yeah,
top of
sorry, I
that.
probably grabbed it from
I'm trying to
somewhere else,
figure
but
it out.
that's what it is,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, so, that's the pie chart.
Yep. And then, overall the past year, this is just showing the graph, the visual graph of the past year. Performance of the four funds. And then the big sheet, of course, is just our running history of what's going in, what's going out, since inception with TD.
So again, this
Mhm.
bar chart, this is fair market value, right?
Correct. That is fair market value.
Judy, on this big sheet,
Yep.
what's the yellow?
The
on
yellow is
increase?
any month that we've taken out a withdrawal. Sorry, I didn't highlight the last one on February 25. So in other words,
Oh,
when
I
we've
see.
had to take out money for scholarships or,
Yeah, okay.
okay. And the green is a deposit that went in, and 23, I believe that might have been Mortimer, when the Mortimer monies went in.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
Okay, questions about any of this report?
We hit the big 3-0.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, let's, we need to schedule our fall meetings, because I think we're,
we're scheduled through August, Judy?
That is correct.
now we have August 23rd is already in the book.
August 23rd?
I don't think
Oh, I'm
so.
sorry,
It's
that's
a
July,
Saturday.
I'm looking at July, August 20th, right?
Yes.
August 23rd, August 20th, yeah.
So September 17th look good for people?
Good for me.
Good with you, Peter?
So that would make it October 15th.
Yeah.
November 19th.
Wait, October 13th,
15th.
No, so it'd be September 17,
yeah.
and then October
15th.
15.
November 19th.
Wait, October 15th. Are we doing Tuesdays or
No,
Wednesday?
it's a Wednesday.
No, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday,
You in 2025?
October
15th.
15th.
And then
December
November,
17th.
Hang on, November what?
no,
19th.
It would either be the 12th or the 19th. Yeah, it would be the 19th. And shall we pick the December meeting,
17th.
17th?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm back at, what do we have for November?
19th.
19th.
Okay, that's November 19th, then December. What do we get for December?
Be the
17th.
17th.
those are all good with both of you, we'll have those posted on the city's website. All right, any other items from you?
Checks.
Okay, just a check?
Yep.
Any, we did have one gentleman here, but he has since left, so we will be having no public comment.
I have 2 scholarship checks, and I also have the second half for the budgeted amount for Prescott Park that you voted on last year for to help cover costs. You know what I mean, for fiscal year 25.
Yeah.
We made one payment out. This is the second payment to close out the year.
Who'd you say this guy was?
He's a guy who lives
2 scholarship checks.
for Citizens Bank Investment Services in
Oh.
Manchester. And he was here. No, he came here that day you were sick. We didn't have a meeting,
And
but
this
he
is
had
just
come
for
to attend the
Mark. I'll
meeting.
show you after, so that you can see his check.
Where's she going, Johnson?
Okay.
Two,
So this is for the second half.
second half.
This is this payment here, which will bring us
See
to the
about
total. We
handling
made this,
some of the investments.
we've already
He said,
made
"No,
this
no, I
payment,
don't
we
do
made
that."
that back in February to them. So
looked
you can
very
see,
familiar.
you
He
know,
called
this
me
money
by
is gonna
name,
go to
so-
that
But
deficit,
I
and then
think
the city
he's,
puts in the rest of the
active
general
in,
fund monies to balance it out.
Are you in Rotary? Are you still in Rotary?
This is the total
That's
budget.
the
I'm not
total
very,
budget.
I don't attend very well.
So,
This is
I
the one
actually just tried to get
yeah,
out.
which is this
Half.
amount from,
Dan Oval
yeah,
said,
half,
"No,
this amount
can't
from
get
the
out.
Marine Maintenance
We won't
Trust
let
for
you
the
go."
dock piece, and this is for Prescott
So,
Park piece, which we voted on.
I was talking with
We
the
voted on.
Excellent, thank you.
chair. It's,
Peter, this is the Prescott Park piece. So you can see, this is the amount we voted to pay them. We paid this in February.
Yeah.
This is the balance, and this is how it's broken out. This
Okay.
amount for Prescott Park and that amount. I have this for your records.
another chef in the works.
It looks that way. Next month I'll have a ton of these, I'm sure. I don't know if you just wanna see. This, they both have signed it, just so you can see. And this is your copy. This is what we paid in February. This is the balance that we owed. This is how it's broken out. So this amount from Prescott Park, this is from Marine Maintenance Trust, which is with the docks down here. This 25,000, so it's half.
But this says amount to transfer,
Proposed amount to transfer on 6/18.
yeah, but that's the higher amount, that's this one.
Oh, sorry, that's a typo. No, it's this and this. This plus this. This plus this.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
I see, okay.
Okay,
And,
that's for the record.
all right, that's completion of our agenda. And if somebody has some new business of importance, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.